Hey guys, today we are doing something super fun. At least I think it's super fun. We are comparing the Real Wildwood Tarot to the Fake Wildwood Tarot. This I bought off of eBay a very long time ago. You've seen me use this in readings, but it is time to retire this deck. I'm actually going to use these cards for a tarot journal. They won't go to waste, don't worry. But here we have the real version. So just let's compare this. So first of all, real version, if I show you this close up, I can't even get this on the screen, right? Like this is a tiny little box of cards, and this is a beautiful, sturdy box. This, when I received it, came in a poly mailer, and the corners of the box were dinged up because it wasn't properly packaged when it was being sent. This came beautifully wrapped with protective paper around it. There's no damage at all. This was sent properly. This wasn't. But there was also, a considerable price difference. So let's look at the actual, first let's look at the guidebook because, that's fun, right? So here's the guidebook that comes with the real version. And yeah, there is no guidebook that comes with the fake version. So, you can find some blogs and stuff online that will give you some interpretations of the cards, but not nearly the same amount of information that comes in the guidebook. So if you're new to tarot and you want a guidebook to help you figure out what the cards are, this isn't going to help you. Okay? And now let's look at the quality of the cards. So this is the legit version of the card. Very beautiful, thick, heavy cardstock. This is one of the most sturdy tarot cards that I personally own. Whereas it's flimsy. Very, very, very flimsy. And also the size difference as well as the color difference between these two is pretty impressive. So it's actually interesting because the copyright on the card, they stole a deck and reprinted it, but they included the copyright. I don't know. The imagery on the back of the card looks the same, but again, the color is totally off. So let's look at the cards themselves. Now I should have actually gone ahead and found some order for these cards, but I didn't. So we might just have to shuffle through them and see what we can find. The only downside to the real version is this box. I don't really like how the cards are stored in there. I might have to do some kind of DIY to change this. At first I thought I was going to like this, but as you can see, it's not the easiest to get the cards out of. So let's see, what do we have here? Let's find the moon card, because that has a lot of pretty deep imagery in it. And the imagery on these cards, whether it's the real imagery or the fake imagery, it's beautiful either way. But what I want to show you here is just the comparison in the depths of color. Let's see. And we'll do the green woman after, so I'll leave her out. It's because it's a different color palette than the moon. Actually, here, we'll do those ones. We'll take out a whole bunch. These are the ones that we will do, because they are all different in terms of the color palette for the cards. So let's just I'm sorry, I should have done this ahead of time, but I didn't think to. I was just way too excited to do this comparison for you. It's going to be the last card in the deck, I bet. That tends to happen when I do things like this. There we go. Moon on the water. So let's just put these over here. Move these out of the way. So we have moon on the water and moon on the water. So you can already see a major difference in terms of color. You can really see that they were, you know, playing around with the contrast a lot more. They've been playing around with the blacks on this card. Like the blacks are a lot darker on this card. This card is also just a lot browner. This card's got a lot more blue. This one's got a lot more brown. The font's the same. This card has, you can actually see like a shadow of where they scanned it. Can you see that? Whereas that's obviously not on the original card. Overall, not terrible though. Okay, so let's see if we can find these other cards too. So, there's the Force Lovers, which I pulled out. Did I take the Fool out? No, I didn't. Or the Wanderer in this deck. See, and that's another reason why the Guidebook is so special, because these aren't necessarily the same as a traditional Rider-Waite deck. So, you know, you have the Wanderer instead of the Fool. You've got the Archer. You've got the Forest Lovers, the Ancestor, the Green Woman. These are different things, and if you weren't familiar with the imagery on them, then it might be very difficult for you to pick up without the Guidebook. Is that all of them? Okay, those two, those two, those two, those two. So here we have the Forest Lovers. Again, this card is a lot more brown. This card is a lot more green. You can actually really tell the evidence of this. Oh, like it's like they've raised the saturation, trying to get a little more depth to the card. You know, you can really see that in the sky behind them, how much more potent the sky is, which doesn't really lend to the card. There's a lot more contrast in this card. This one, they've just, you know, raised the saturation, trying to mimic what the card looks like. Otherwise, you know, they're pretty similar, but I mean, size difference and just the quality difference is definitely worth buying the original. And again, overly saturated. You can actually see that this card has been so overly saturated that even the white border is no longer white. I hope my camera is picking that up okay. But even the white border around this card is somewhat green because they've increased the saturation on the card. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. But yeah, it's definitely green. And if you look at the bottom of this card, can you see the line around the wording? It's almost like they ripped it off. Literally, they did rip it off. Okay, we have the Ancestor, which is, you know, the cover of the boxes, right? And again, the saturation on this is just so heavy. The snow looks dirty, whereas in this one, the snow around the Ancestor looks crisp and clean. This just looks dirty. It's something that I never noticed before, but now that I can compare them side by side, like it's just, it looks dirty. The snow looks dirty. And then we have the Sun of Life. And I mean, not only is the bigger card, can you see that? This card is really green too. there is so much detail in these cards, like in these flowers down around the bottom, which when it's so much smaller, it's hard to see. I'm literally going to have to sit and reconnect with the imagery on some of these cards because there's so much that I can see more of now that I have the bigger card. And then the last pairing is the Archer. Yeah, and it's interesting because in the real card, the focus is on the Archer and the wolves in the back kind of blend into the background. But here, they've enhanced their blacks so much that the outline on the wolves is more apparent than it should be. You also see this in the, like in the details of the Archer herself. Which, it takes away when the focus, like my eye goes here to this dog as opposed to with the Archer. But on this card, because the hues and the saturation are the way that the artist intended, the focus goes to the Archer, which is where it's supposed to go. So yeah, that's an interesting comparison between the legit Wildwood Tarot and the fake Wildwood Tarot. When you really think about it, this is not much more expensive than this. I paid, I think it was like $5 or $6 for this on eBay, and it took like 6 weeks to arrive. So for my time, that's not worth it right there. Whereas the Wildwood Tarot deck, I'm just going to double check what the price of that is because I actually received this as a gift, so thank you. If you want to see what's on my wish list, it'll be linked down in the description box below. But so anyway, on Amazon Canada, this is only $23. Okay, so if you're in the United States, it might even be cheaper. So $23, that's probably more like $18 US. So, the price difference, it's a cup of coffees, right? Especially if you go to Starbucks. It's not that big of a difference between the two. And with the real one, you get way better quality cards, right? A lot more sturdy. They came in, like next day shipping on Amazon. You get the beautiful guidebook, which will help you interpret all of these cards. You don't get that with this cheap knockoff, right? You got to go searching for the information or just trust your intuition. Nothing wrong with trusting your intuition, but if you're new to tarot, this is going to be very difficult for you to start with. But if you buy the real copy, you get the guidebook, which explains all of the cards to you. You also get this wonderful protective box to keep your cards safe, because ultimately tarot is an investment. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your time and your energies. So you want to be able to protect your cards, and like this, it's not worth it. 2 months I'm trying to get this to my house almost for $6. Just buy the legit deck. Not only are you supporting the author and the illustrator, telling them that you're enjoying their work by supporting them, you're also not encouraging people to rip other people off. Okay, so that is my side-by-side comparison of the real Wildwood Tarot versus the fake Wildwood Tarot. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Okay, love, light, and happiness to all of you. Have a fantastic day. Bye.